know Muay Thai. Muay Thai, that's how you pronounce it. I don't know that. I would be 500% more lethal if I did, though.
What's going on?
I wanted to ask you about a few things.
So you're a woman on a mission, huh?
Indeed.
Well, I'm not in much of a talking mood right now. I figured you had something quick you wanted to bring up.
I've been in your shoes.
So you know where I'm coming from. Good. I can't tell you how many times that jerk's told me he was going to do something and then completely flaked on me.
This must happen pretty often for you to be upset.
Exactly. Like just the other day, Mr. Famous Fashion Designer asked me to stop by and look at a leaky faucet at his place. I had some things planned that day, but I decided to be a good neighbor and make time for him. Granted, it wasn't until later in the day that I came by, but still, I was doing him a favor. It's only common courtesy that he's around when I stop by. When I called ahead to check and see if he'd let me in, he's not home. Then Susan called me up and invited me over for an early supper. Since I figured Daniel would call at any minute and rescue me from Susan's chattering, I agreed to have dinner with Julie and Susan. Dinner became dessert, became coffee. No call from Daniel. By the time I was able to escape, it was pretty late. I figured Daniel would call to apologize the next day.
You didn't even see Daniel that night, did you?
We spoke in the morning, but I didn't get a hold of him for the rest of the day. But nothing since. Not on my cell phone, and nothing since I'm back in town. It's like he just dropped off the face of the earth, which is a bit of a relief, because he's such a pain in the butt. But I know he's gonna call. He always does. Probably just when I'm about to fall asleep tonight.
Mike, I think that Daniel's current state is unlikely you'll be getting a call from him. Long-distance charges from the afterlife are pretty excessive, and my cell phone plan doesn't cover it.
Wait, what are you getting at?
He was killed a few nights ago, Mike.
That's not the kind of thing you joke about.
You're right, it isn't. I'm serious. Dead serious.
Wow. I don't even know what to say. I already told you everything I know. I was with Susan and Julie that night. Sort of a dinner and kidnapping combined, since Susan didn't seem to want to let me leave. Anyway, I left around 11. As soon as I walked in the door, Susan called me and then proceeded to talk my ear off for an hour or so. You know how she can get.
She has some issues. I'll talk to Susan. Maybe they'll have some new information.
Yeah. Good luck with that.
Verify the alibi. Where were you on the night in question? Don't make me get rough with you.
Oh, hey. If you're looking for my mom, she's in the...
Right. You, surrender your facts to me, or there'll be heck to pay.
There's something I've been meaning to ask you. How are you dealing with everything that's been going on?
I'm finding details.
Don't you think that kind of job is best left to the police?
They can do whatever they like. I'm running my own investigation.
Uh-huh. And I suppose you have a plan to get to the bottom of things.
Actually, I found out what the police know and started asking around.
Mike, you don't really think they believe Mike did it, do you?
There were two of you up to that night anyways.
Right. Actually, there were 3 of us here. Me, Mike, and Julie. Hey, what's going on, Mom? We were just talking about Daniel Fox. Oh, man. I still can't believe that happened right down the street. How's Mr. Fox holding up? I haven't seen him since before the incident. Edie mentioned that the police took him in. Not as a suspect, but to protect him. But that's not the weird part, Julie. Mike is considered a suspect. Mike? But he was here that night. I remember because you did everything in your power to stop the poor guy from going home. Julie, you're being silly. It's just that it was late, and I was worried about him walking home alone at that hour. Mom, he lives across the street. The poor man drank 4 nightcaps trying to be polite. Then as soon as you saw him walk into his house, you called him on the phone. As it turns out, this is a dangerous neighborhood. I wanted to make sure that he got home safely.
Is that why you talked to him for almost an hour on the phone?
Oh, give me a break, Julie. Who's been on the phone every night this week gossiping about people at school?
Is it my fault that Danielle Vandekam gives it up to any boy who asks? I'm just doing the right thing and spreading the word.
By now, I'm sure you're not the only one that knows that.
I'm sure lots of people know by now.
Well, let's move on now. We're getting a bit off the topic at hand. Back to Mike.
Just a little bit.
What else is new?
Look, we can't let the police think he had anything to do with Daniel's death. It's just ridiculous.
From what you told me, unless he has an evil twin brother, he's in the clear.
I guess you're right. Well, problem solved then.
I've got to be going.
All right. See you around.
Good riddance. Carlos. Attention, sir. Surrender.
Hey,
Just the person I
you
wanted
came
to talk
by
to.
to talk to me?
Carlos, who is it?
Why don't you come out here and find out for yourself?
Why do you always have to have something smart to... Oh, hi.
I wanted to ask a few questions.
No, we're fine. Why don't you come inside for a minute? Daniel's murder did have us all a bit shaken up.
Shake.
It's still hard to believe.
It's unfortunate that something like that had to happen to Daniel. He had his whole life ahead of him.
Please don't seem to regard this as a big case.
Wait a second. What does Daniel's death have to do with us?
Yeah, what can we tell you that we didn't tell the police? We didn't see anything.
Investigating two of the people on Wisteria Lane. You're one of them.
They suspect me. I went to jail for embezzlement, for Christ's sakes. I'm not a violent man.
Well, there was an incident with the cable, man. Something to do with certain preferences.
Jesus, Mary and Joseph, I am not a homophobe. That was a misunderstanding.
Yeah? Well, they're wrong. Carlos would never do anything to hurt Daniel. I know for a fact that he couldn't have that night. We were both home and in bed by 11.
You out that night too, Gabby?
Actually, I wasn't exactly following my normal routine that night. See, earlier in the day, Carlos tried to drag me into another one of his charity benefits.
Oh, here we go.
I'm not talking to you, sweetie. Stay out of it.
Goodness.
Listen, honey, she came over here to talk to me.
Carlos doesn't want you to know that he threw a fit because I didn't want to go to his little party. We fought about it for hours. Then we had the makeup sex. Then we fought again. Then more makeup sex.
Yeah, we didn't make the charity event, but I definitely gave it my all. As did Gabby.
For your information, I had a number of appointments scheduled that day with a number of business professionals.
Uh-huh, and which professional was it this time? Henri? Pierre? That guy with the mole?
It's called a beauty mark, and that doesn't make him any less of a professional. Anyway, I had to keep my appointments and wound up pushing my workout back to the end of the day. So, I didn't go for my run until much later that night. And Carlos came home right after I did. We were together for the rest of the night.
Yeah, we still had some issues to resolve. Upstairs, if you know what I mean.
Carlos, have you ever heard of such a thing as too much information?
You're a little late for that, lady. It's a little late for that. We're jaded.
I just remembered something else from that night. It involved whipped cream, strawberries.
Definitely too much
Actually,
information.
when I was running back home, I thought I saw two people milling around your house. It was pretty dark. I guess my eyes could have just as well been playing tricks.
Did you tell the police what you saw?
No? Why would I tell them that? I could have been seeing trees blowing in the wind or something.
That's the kind of thing you tell them, even if you're not sure. This way they can investigate. That's what they do. Well, I definitely didn't see anything out of the ordinary that night. I'm sorry, I can't help you.
Why are you apologizing to her for not seeing anything? God, Carlos, you can be such a wimp sometimes.
Who was sneaking around my house?
And another
Goodbye.
thing, Carlos.
Mayday, mayday. Evade, evade. Your son, perhaps. I'll check the mail first. I don't know what that was, but I used it. Where were you on the night in question?
Mom. What's up?
Nothing much, but I wanted to talk to you. This is important. On the night Daniel died, did you hear anything strange?
That's a really strange question.
It's incredibly important.
Don't you remember? I was grounded. I didn't go anywhere that night. You know what's funny? If you and Dad would just let me stay out later, I'd probably be able to help you out right now.
Go anywhere for once you actually listen to us?
I told you I was in all night. I was playing Utter Warfare online with this guy I know from the web forums. Double Trouble. I figured since nobody was home, I'd crank the volume up pretty loud. So there's no way I would have heard anything. Are you done with the interrogation now, Mom?
You sure you're telling the whole
Jeez,
truth?
You know what? You're worse than Danielle's mom. The both of you make a habit of nagging and bugging people. Why are you so hung up on this? I mean, I know he wasn't your boyfriend or anything. He didn't even play for that team, did he? Other than you and his brother. Who's really gonna miss him anyway?
My son doesn't want to help me. Angry.
Look, Mom, I'm sorry your friend is dead, but I don't know anything. I promise. So drop it already.
Obviously, that's impossible in this house. Good riddance. You are a terrible person. I hate you. Still maxed out. I don't think that's ever going to drop.
What can I say? What's up?
No, he'd never do anything like that.
Kids today.
Need something?
Gotta check out the computer. Look for Utter Warfare because he was playing with Double Trouble again, who is Frank. I might need to call him too. Search. Forums. New. Nothing? Okay, then I guess I'll just call him.
Hello?
He's playing home video games. Mom, go off across the street.
Guess that makes sense. If you think he's being complete, have you tried asking him about it again? Sometimes people point you in the right direction the second, or if they're hiding something from you,
Fine. You. Tell me or I will
Hey,
suplex
Mom.
you.
What's up?
More
Mom,
questions.
what is it with you? Maybe
Watch
that's
your
what I don't
mouth, young
know
man.
Anything else? Jeez. And conspire with Mrs. Vandekamp about how to ruin the rest of my senior year, because I don't have anything else to say to you.
I don't know where you get that attitude from, but I'll deal with you later. Hello, catering service man. Well, anyway, we need to go to Vandekamp.
Hello. What a pleasant surprise.
Nice to see you.
To what do I owe the pleasure?
I'm trying to piece together what happened the night of the murder. Be able to find some pieces to the puzzle.
I'm afraid you're wasting your time. I don't know anything about Daniel's murder.
You have to remember something.
There's only one thing that comes to mind when I think of that night, but it certainly isn't going to bring Daniel's killers to justice, so it's probably better not to speak of. And you know exactly what I'm talking about.
I have absolutely no idea what happened at his garden.
What? I never said anything about Etta.
Then,
That was the night your son attempted to court my daughter.
when did this happen?
That night, he and Danielle were coming back from their date. I caught Danielle trying to sneak back into the house. She knew better than to stay out that late. I assume your son was the bad influence. I saw them coming out of your house looking guilty as sin. And then your son had the nerve to try to sneak in with Danielle.
Mom, haven't you done enough? Now you're talking to the neighbors about this? Haven't you embarrassed me enough already?
I'm not trying to embarrass anyone, dear. You do more than enough of that for the both of us.
You got owned.
Needless to say, they were surprised when I greeted them on the porch. I sent your son home immediately. Then Danielle and I had an interesting talk that evening.
Two of you were out that night. Together.
Do you know what this means?
Yeah, it means we were out that night.
What do you think it means?
I used to think my Danielle was incapable of hurting a fly, but she is susceptible to dangerous boys.
But these are our kids we're talking about. I like how she had the gun and Gilberto had the flashlight.
Do you seriously think I'm capable of that? The police said Mr. Fox was killed at 11 that night. And if you remember, you sent him home way before that. You went off on your whole high and mighty, and of all things, on a school night tirade and sent me to bed. Besides, I refuse to defend myself. You're insane for even thinking this. If only Dad were still alive.
Danielle, you will always be my daughter. But after what this family has been through, and especially after what you've put me through, it will take more than a few words for me to trust you again, considering you never even told me what you two were up to that night.
Ugh.
Well, if Danielle doesn't have anything to tell us, there's just one person left, your son. Maybe you'll have more luck getting the truth out of him.
May God have mercy on his soul. Someone's getting a paddling. I'm not messing around this time, Gilberto. The Doom Hammer is coming your way. Ah!
Hey, Mom. What's up?
However, you, on the other hand, have a lot of explaining to do.
What?
Oh, lose the last name.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Maybe you aren't playing at all.
What? Why don't you ever trust me? You're just coming from out of nowhere with all this. And I know you're making this up. You can't prove anything.
I just talked with Bree and Danielle. They both said they saw you out that night. Owned.
That girl just can't keep her mouth shut.
Maybe, but for now, let's see if you can't get your story straight.
Okay. Danielle and I went out that night. But nothing really major happened. So, I didn't feel the need to bring it up.
You forgot to bring it up because you were out past your curfew. Didn't want to get in trouble. Last chance. Is anything else coming back to you now?
After Mrs. Vandekamp finished her angry diatribe, I left and came home. And that's the truth.
You must have seen something else.
Nope. I did see someone standing outside the Scavo house talking to some car.
Was it Lynette?
I don't know. I guess it could have been Mrs. Scavo.
To find out the rest for myself, I'm going now. But this isn't over. I'm still upset with you. Doom approaches. Zoom. Uh-oh. Doggone it, I got roped into this. Good thing time doesn't pass in here. Fine, let's get this over with. That's why I'm wearing this dress. do the talk.